stop whistling on these intros. Yeah, gotta stop whistling. Here we go. Here's a Fujifilm X-T4. Yay, what a beast, right? Wonderful. By the way, I sold off my X-T3 last week because I've got a lot of Fujifilm cameras. By a lot, I mean a lot. I'm going to make a statement that is not speculation. It's fact. Thanks to somebody leaking information from Sony, we know that the sensor in the XH-2 for 2021 is a 43 megapixel sensor. It's got some nice new features. I forget the name of it. It's the IMX something something. I can't remember the numbers. Anyway, it's a 43 megapixel crop sensor. Yeah, it's going to go in to the Fujifilm XH2. Now, the Fujifilm XH2, I'm pretty sure, will still have SD cards. They have ultra fast SD cards now, so there's still no need to upgrade to Compact Flash Express. However, that is still an option. So I know everybody's kind of waiting for next year on the XH2. Here's an undeniable fact. Now, the Nikon D6, of course, is out now. Basically, essentially very little performance over that of the Nikon D5. It has a dual processing for autofocus algorithms, but a DSLR is limited. I don't know if you know this or not, but no DSLR can actually lock on autofocus until the mirror in its reciprocation mode, when you're actually shooting continuous low or continuous high, can lock onto a subject until the mirror is completely locked down, because there's a secondary mirror underneath that bounces the light into the autofocus module. And every DSLR has an issue in that the secondary mirror only actually scans about a 75% portion, roughly. Actually, it's more like 70% portion of the sensor. So you don't actually have any extremity tracking, even on a Nikon D6. Don't have it on the flagship Canon camera. So this, of course, is the limitation of a DSLR. Next year, let me get to the damn point. Next year for 2021, and by the way, I don't know if you remember this or not, but it's been leaked that Fujifilm's coming out with a 300mm f4 and a 500mm 5.6 prime, with the XH2 coming out next year. I'm sure they're not going to drop both lenses in the same year. One of them that they will. And I know the first lens is going to be the 300mm f4. I know the 300mm f4 is going to be first. With the XH2 and the 300mm f4 and the introduction sometime later that year of the 500 5.6, Fujifilm will blast past Nikon. Now, it is undeniable, and I have many hundreds of Nikon lenses. It is undeniable that Nikon has more lenses and more legacy of lenses for Nikon than Fujifilm. But with the XH2, its performance, and given the fact that you'll have the 300mm f4 and the 500mm 5.6, Fujifilm will blast past Nikon. And for those of you out there that shoot a lot of sports action, one of the benefits of crop sensor cameras, like for example the Nikon D500, which is also the same camera shooting my face right now, is still so perfect for bird photography, even better than that of the Nikon D850, is because that autofocus module for sensor coverage covers more of the sensor on a crop sensor. So for like tracking birds to left and right, and this is not my opinion, this is an undeniable fact. You can ask Steve Perry this. He's a major wildlife photographer. National Geographic photographers also use crop sensor cameras. Another advantage of most crop sensors is that there's more megapixels per square millimeter of sensor. That way you get more croppability with more translatable information on the shot for cropping out on serious telephoto wildlife photography. But the reason why they're using crop sensor cameras, people that have all the money in the world, or they have an unlimited budget to use whatever the hell that they want, is that you have more sensor autofocus point coverage on a crop sensor DSLR than you do on a Nikon D850 or Nikon D750, for example. D850 since it's the latest. Because you have the exact same amount of, not the amount, but the same coverage area of the sensors you do on a crop sensor. But the D850, of course, being a full-frame sensor, any full-frame DSLR sensor, including Canon, you don't have those fringe areas where tracking is a possibility. Not using it as a DSLR with its reflex mirror, because the secondary mirror is what bounces the light into the autofocus module. So next year for 2021, it is an undeniable fact that Fujifilm will blast past Nikon. Will they have as many lenses? You know, like Fujifilm will not have a 600mm f4. They're not going to have a 400mm f2.8. I know that. They're not going to have a 300 millimeter f2.8 either. However, the 200 millimeter f2 in crop mode, same thing as a 300 millimeter field of view equivalent. I have that lens at, really expensive, $6,000. That's in my back room back there, so they already have that lens essentially. But no, Fujifilm is not going to develop enormous, gigantic primes like Canon and Nikon has. But with those two lenses and the performance of the XH-2, Fujifilm will, not my opinion, a fact, they will blast past Nikon. Fujifilm has already done that in terms of financial sales of cameras. I don't care if you want to call the X-T4 professional camera or not, as far as, and also too, Nikon and Canon don't have any medium format cameras. I don't know if you know this or not, but medium format is, the key working professionals. And by the way, I don't want to mention this person's name. I'm so proud that a world famous photographer has been reaching out to me for tech support on his GFX 100. He's a very famous photographer. I don't want to tell you what he shoots, but I've been communicating with him a lot recently. And no, it's not the guy in France. Yes, I know he's a professional photographer, obviously. Shoots for Vogue and Elle and Harper's. This is a different photographer. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Look into my eye. I'm so proud of him and the fact he picked up, he still does have a GFX 50R. He just picked up a GFX 100 and he was reaching out to me for, what button do this and, how do I set this up and that. And I was glad to have helped him. And I'm still helping him actually this entire past week and a half or so. He's a famous photographer, and now, the guy shot film for ages, film medium format. He's been using digital not as much as most of us have, but he's, for all his, and he prints large, really large prints. And he's completely gone over to the GFX 100 for his work. I'm proud to have helped him, Fujifilm, you need to send me a check for doing all that free tech support. Seriously, though. But yeah, for 2021, Fujifilm will blast past Nikon. No, obviously they're not going to have the same wide variety of super giant telephotos as Nikon has, but they already have the 200mm f2 with the 300mm f4 and the 500mm f5.6. This, the X-T4, and with the XH-2 being what it's going to be, and I know half of what the XH-2 is going to be, there is no doubt in hell that Fujifilm is not going to blast past Nikon. They are going to blast past Nikon in the year 2021. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Wait for it. Fuji. I love my X-T4, by the way. How you like my ugly shirt? This is actually an expensive Ralph Lauren shirt. I got it half off, but even half off, it was expensive as hell. Damn you, Ralph Lauren, and your overpriced crap. There's a little tag in the back right here. It says made in China.